Please provide a brief work background and describe your current job position and company.
Okay, well, my name is Charlie Penland. I am a senior principal with the firm of Walkley Moore and Associates. Also, I'm the director of civil engineering for the firm, kind of worldwide. We've got international offices. I oversee all of the civil engineering for our firm. We have offices across the U.S., India, Canada, and Panama at this point. So, everywhere that we have civil engineering within those offices or water resources, then I am the director of that part of our business.
How would you describe the Buffalo Bayou project, and what was your role in it?
Well, the Buffalo Bayou project was kind of an offshoot of some other work that we were doing. After Hurricane Harvey, and a lot of the city buildings, including Wortham Theater that is mentioned in this, but also the Bayou Place facility, which is a kind of a mixed-use facility. It's an old convention center that was turned into an entertainment venue. And then some of the different garages that the Houston First group has, they're the ones that run all the theater district and garages for the city of Houston. So those flooded pretty badly in Harvey. And so the flood was so bad that it actually overtopped the protection that was put up after Tropical Storm Allison, which was kind of the first big event that got me really involved in flood protection. So our firm was there, right when the floods were happening, trying to help out the city in those garages and in those facilities. And then afterwards, we were part of the team helping them put that back together, and also repairing the buildings and then putting in the flood protection. In the middle of some of that work, we found some kind of tunnels or holes, some places where the erosion had washed away a bunch of soil, and then actually due to the flooding, there were some washouts determined, and those washouts came in to the garages and took a lot of sediment in there. It actually contributed to the flooding, but then we had these huge gaps. So as we were coming back trying to provide the flood protection, we saw all these big gaps, and we said, well, we need to come in and fix those. And so that's really where this project came in. It was come in and figure out how best to fill those holes, and then take care of any of the other bank stabilization that was required between the top of the embankment and the sidewalk that runs along the bayou.
Okay, so what options did you look at to solve this particular problem, and why did you choose the solution that you did?
So, one of the things that we look at when we have a problem on a bayou like this is that we know we're going to have high velocities and we're going to have high water. And so we have a chance for erosion. We have a chance for just long time saturation and therefore slope failure just due to the saturation of the soils, and then the rapid drawdown. So if the bayou goes up and then goes down very quickly, then the unloading of all that water very quickly starts to pull the water out of the soils and cause some erosion. So we were worried about all of those particular solutions. Back in, and I can't remember the date, but several years ago, we had the sesquicentennial of Houston. And so all along the bayou, they built what they call Sesquicentennial Park, which is a nice walkway, multi-use path in there that provides for biking and hiking and just generally strolling along the bayou. Very, very nice. So this area is actually subject to that park. So coming back in with riprap, let's say, that the flood control district might want to do, or the Corps of Engineers might want to do on this slope, really wasn't appropriate, nor was slope paving or anything else. So we knew we had to come up with some type of grass solution. So the real question was, based on the slope that we had, could we think that it would stand up and we could just reseat it and go on, or did we really need to armor it? And we felt like that realistically we needed some type of armament on it. And so that's when we thought of this particular product. We had been working with Eco Services, Construction Eco Services, for many years on lots of different projects. So we knew they had some good ideas, they had some good products. So that's when we went to them and started talking to them about the best way to come in and stabilize this slope.
Okay, great. So for this project, what were some of the unique or especially daunting aspects, and how did you try and overcome them?
Well, there's sort of a lot of them. Number one, if you've seen the video or looked at where this is, it's not a very accessible place for big equipment. There is a little hike bike trail along there with a retaining wall, but if you really want to get equipment into this place, that's pretty difficult to do. So trying to figure out how you could even get in there is one problem. We have portions of the building overhang some of the slope, so just access right next to the building was also difficult. The fact that it was exposed to floodwaters and within the floodway of Buffalo Bayou, that means we had velocities, we had chances of high water, we had lots of different issues associated with it. So those were some of the challenges, is just how do we get in there? How do we make sure that we're taking everything into consideration? And then at the end of the day, wanting to make sure that it really does remain a very nice place to hike and bike when it's not flooding and the sun shining. So trying to make sure that we came up with something that really looked nice, that we could be proud of, was important.
Okay, so from this project, what would you say the biggest lesson was that you learned?
That's a good question. You learn lessons on every project, and I think that every project, once you get into it, presents its challenges. Certainly we had challenges about trying to make sure that we stayed out of the normal, or I guess it's ordinary high water, because that would take us into a Corps of Engineers permit, which we did not want to get tangled up in, because we wanted to get this done in a reasonable amount of time. So, we made sure that we could stay up above the sidewalk. So we learned mostly just what can be done, from an armament standpoint, and how nicely it can look and what will hold up. I know that we had used some of these products individually, but not layered like we did on this particular project. So we knew what some of them could do, but the whole range of the different products that were used to make this thing work was very unique and something that we learned quite a bit from.
So what advice would you give to engineers in similar situations as they consider traditional versus some of the newer green options? What should they focus their thinking on?
I think that one thing that we need to learn as civil engineers is that we are stewards of our environment. And what we use as our products, what we do in our designs is extremely important, not just from the pure engineering aspect of, more concrete's the better type of thing, but what is the right solution? What's the one that meets the greater need? And that's what engineers do. They solve problems. They create, a better place to live for all of us. So I think that my advice is to explore your options, take in the whole context of what you're trying to do, not just the immediate problem, but the long-term, long-range impacts of what you're doing, and make sure that all those considerations come to bear.
So would you consider this project a success? Why or why not? And is there anything you'd have done differently in hindsight?
Well, it's obviously a success because right after they put in, it got challenged by Tropical Storm Imelda, which got waters almost as high as Harvey in there. So it was tested immediately. And I think as John Moss told us, he was very, very concerned about it. And he was very relieved when he went out there and saw that it not only fared well, but it did excellent. It really looked as good as the day they put it in. after that storm had happened. And it was a storm that came up fast and then came down fast. So that storm really put that slope through its paces. So I would say it was very successful. I think the city was very happy with it. I think it went in well. They did a great job in putting it in. So, I think it's very successful. As far as things we would have done differently, I'm not sure what we might have done differently. I think that the solution was everything we wanted it to be. I think that you go out there today, you wouldn't even know, that it had been repaired and that it wasn't just a normal grass slope. I mean, it adds to the ambiance, but it doesn't detract for or draw attention. So, I think it does everything that we wanted it to do.